Hello, dear friends. Spiritual journey is individual, very personal. It cannot be organized or regulated. It is not true that everyone should follow the same path. Listen to your own truth, said Ram Dass. Opinion piece. Embracing darkness. Our dark side. The Labyrinth Test. How to transcend it. Ghosts of the initiate. Signs of daily life. Let's start. Embracing darkness is a famous phrase of Millau, which it took me years to understand, even though I was a student of the Rainbow community for several summers, a Spanish version of Osho. I'm going to save you that time. My first reaction was for her mother to hug her, if she has one. But then I realized that he was not referring to external darkness, but to internal darkness. That is the ugliest part of each one, which caused a lot of work recognize. Yoga calls it skandhas or mental rescue, and I call it egregores. Do you remember the saga of Star Wars? When Luke Skywalker was trained by the Master Jedi Yoda, he had to face his own very nasty ghosts. That is exactly what happens to many of us. Initially, Yoda doesn't identify with Luke, and instead tests his patience by presenting himself as a comical and backward individual, deliberately provoking both Luke and R2-D2. Luke is shocked when he finally discovers that this eccentric little creature is the powerful Jedi Master he has been looking for. Discovering that Luke has the same anger and reluctance that caused his father's downfall, Yoda is reluctant to teach him the ways of the Force and agrees only at Obi-Wan's urging. Labyrinth. The test of the labyrinth refers to the challenge Theseus faced in entering the Cretan labyrinth, and his success in overcoming it, culminating in the defeat of the Minotaur and the release of Athens from the tribute of human sacrifice. It represents the challenges and obstacles that one encounters in his spiritual life. They are the internal and external struggles we face in our search for meaning, purpose, and connection to the divine. The hero who overcomes the maze can be seen as a symbol of the human ability to overcome difficulties and grow in wisdom and strength. The labyrinth symbolizes the inner journey of the human being, a path of self-discovery, transformation, and spiritual growth. The act of entering the labyrinth is equated with going deep within oneself, exploring unknown aspects of the psyche and facing inner challenges. Waste. The scandals or mental residues refers to the impression or traces that are left in the mind due to past experiences, thoughts, emotions, and actions. Our actions, thoughts, and emotions generate samskaras or impressions in our mind. These impressions can influence our way of thinking, acting and reacting in the present and in the future. When not managed properly, this waste can negatively affect our mental and emotional well-being. The objective of yoga is to purify and free the mind from these accumulated impressions, thus allowing a greater mental and emotional balance. Through practices such as meditation, conscious self-observation, and mindfulness, the aim is to identify and transform these ingrained patterns of thought and behavior in order to achieve a higher level of consciousness and spiritual liberation. Psychic attacks Many popularizers complain that they are being spiritually attacked, and I am one of them. I realized that there was something wrong with my alchemy, and that caused me frustration. I was facing my own egregors, and I didn't realize it. I thought it was an external attack, when it was my own ghosts that were tormenting me. This is not new. It is the test of the fires of hell that every living human being who undertakes the path of ascension or the ascent to Mount Carmel must pass. There comes a time when you cannot fool yourself. Your own ghosts come to meet you, and unpleasant memories torment you. This happens to those of us who are sensitized, and it doesn't happen to those who are anesthetized, which is the majority. Not everyone is able to pass this test. Most people run from their own ghost through sex, drugs, or rock and roll, among many other means, because it is very unpleasant to live with your own monsters, while trying to blame other people instead of assuming your own responsibility. Many deceive themselves all their lives, but some of us realize that this doesn't work. No one is superior or inferior, because each one awakens at their time. As I said yesterday, the problem of the egregors has a difficult solution. To begin with, each one must dissolve their own swarm of tulpas that nest in their own aura. You created your own swarm of tulpas, and you are responsible for dissolving it and restoring the mental and emotional substance that you yourself have corrupted and degraded. You can't wait for an angel or a Pleiadian to do it for you. Besides, if Master Jesus were here and cleaned your aura, he wouldn't be of no use to you, because you would create a new swarm worse than the previous one. Signs. This morning I saw a little blackbird with a red beak, and I started to love it. It was the symbol of my own darkness. Then I found myself in road traffic with large vehicles blocking my path, but they always ended up moving out of the way and leaving the way clear. Life speaks to you very clearly if you know how to observe the signs. Oh my gosh, oh my God, how big you are. One thing are the teachings, and another very different is to see life for yourself. Then you discover the miracle and you marvel. Then you feel infinite gratitude for all the beings who have shown you the way, and you want to return that generosity to the world. This is very strong and incredible. My 4 cute cats are giving me lessons every day, and they help me to get rid of my nerves. I remembered the beautiful song by Cat Stevens that always moves me. Morning has broken like the first morning of the creation. The blackbird has sung like the first bird. Praise to the song, praise to the morning, praise to the fresh spring of the world. Sweet the new rain under the celestial light of the sun, like the first dew of the first grass. Praise to the sweetness of the humid cotton, blossomed in fullness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born from the light that illuminated Eden. Blessed praise of every morning, when God recreates the new day. Breaking news. Update from Charlie Ward. We are about to see the real truth, and the real news is unfolding before our eyes. Prepare for short-term volatility, medium-term change, and long-term prosperity. Governments have zero control and are in the process of renegotiating sovereignty. In addition, all countries are currently bankrupt. The Internal Revenue Service is being restructured and may be replaced entirely. Extreme weather in Spain and Portugal, with a record temperature of 46.4 grades Celsius. The Kremlin has notified the UN of its intention to decree martial law in Russia. This would be the prelude to a general mobilization. The Israeli military has been given the green light against Hezbollah. More than 3,000 US Marines and sailors arrived in the Middle East in a deployment directed against Iran. An underwater volcano in Japan could trigger the shutdown of international shipping. Flood watch as severe storms reached the Washington, D.C. area and several states. They are using martial law in some states, according to Bruce, the Big Call. There are no dates, just lots of clear signs that something is up. Niger accuses France of attacking its national guard and violating its airspace. Despite so much alarming news, Max Seeder says things are still very quiet. In quotes, "I hope this means things are on the right track. My messages go straight to voicemail, which means they are silent for some reason." Curious. Archaeologists fear opening the tomb of the first Chinese emperor that has remained intact for more than 2,000 years in a burial chamber in the center of an underground palace, a few meters from its custodians, the famous terracotta warriors in the Chinese province from Shaanxi. It could house deadly booby traps designed to kill any intruder. Craftsmen were ordered to make crossbows and arrows ready to shoot anyone who entered the tomb. Mercury was used to simulate the 100 rivers, the Yangtze and the Yellow River, and the Great Sea, and it was said to flow mechanically. In addition to the traps and dangers that the mausoleum may hide, archaeologists dare not dig for fear that their work may damage the underground necropolis. Either way, archaeologists are eager to discover its interior. In the early 2000s, Chinese experts used redetection technology (SPEC), with which an underground chamber with 4 stele-shaped walls was discovered. Reflections. What makes a world work for everyone? According to Steve Biko, a world that works for everyone, in the words of Werner Erhard, is a concept that cannot be understood by applying a three-dimensional framework that divides things into good and bad, right and wrong, beautiful and ugly. A world that operates on that principle is simply not going to work for everyone. That is, the bad, the wrong and the ugly. What is missing is a tidal wave of love that transforms our perspective and our world. Living in the New World by Kenneth Smith. As we awaken from the hypnotic trance of three-dimensional humanity, we may need to reorient ourselves. It's like waking up from a very deep lucid dream. We have known an embodiment of ourselves, but we have not known our true essence. What we need is a kind of reverse hypnosis where our limiting beliefs dissolve, giving us absolute freedom, fulfillment, and unlimited awareness in our head consciousness. We are on the verge of ascension according to Aurora Ray. You will know that you have ascended when you no longer fear death and when you realize that your mind is not your brain. The dark forces are trying to corrupt the truth and stop the ascension by creating fear and confusion. They are very afraid of this ascension because they know that their power is coming to an end. They are trying to resist this change in every possible way, but you have the ability to see through their manipulations if you apply critical thinking, discernment, and wisdom. There is a lot of information coming out that can be very difficult to process as it challenges everything you thought was true. Don't believe anything unless it resonates with your personal truth. Your frequency determines your reality. What you vibrate towards the universe will be reflected in you, be it love or fear. Never give your powers away to anyone or anything. Choose to be happy. Choose to be positive with everything around you. Choose to see the good in everyone, even when it's hard. We are in the process of creating a new light growth grid around this planet that will help keep negativity at bay and also protect us from any further interference from these dark forces. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.